What are some of the difficulties you have faced as a teenager?
Generally,
Generally.
I think the biggest issue that I faced during my teenage years was like not being able to spend as much time with my friends in a social setting because when I was 14, COVID hit and I've been at home for 3 years. So the social growth that generally a teenager should get, where they make mistakes and create relationships and learn how to handle people in a one-to-one real life setting, that's been lacking. So that is something that I've faced an issue with. And when I meet new people, sometimes I get a little, what should I do now, because I haven't had any of that in the last 3 years. So that's something. And touch wood, I've not had to face like bullying and stuff like that other some people might face, because the society I'm in and the school I'm in, it's more or less not prevalent. So that's something that I personally haven't faced, but I know a lot of other teenagers have. So I've been set there. And another, you can say, issue I faced as a teenager is just pressure at home. Not really pressure, but academic pressure that comes in.
Yeah.
Like my parents are very well-known doctors and stuff, and there's a lot of academic, like where you're gonna go, what's college gonna be like. And now at home all the time it's like every time I meet a relative, it's which college are you going to, what's your scene next, are you also becoming a doctor, stuff like that. It's all numbers.
Yeah.
So that's just a constant background pressure sort of thing that's always been in my life. So that's something that has just grown over time as I get older, because I get closer to the adult age. That is something I'm facing, but it's handleable. I have my
family, Punjabi family.
Yeah.
My mom goes
brown Punjabi family.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know how Punjabi nannies are, so.
Yeah, oh my god. Okay. What are some of the things you wish you had known, say, 2 or 3 years ago? In general.
One thing I will say is that to younger people who will maybe read your book or might be watching this or whatever, is to not care as much about what other people think of them. Because when you're 12, 13 years in 7th, 8th grade and you've just hit your teen years, you really don't know much about yourself. You don't know much about what your interests are and what you like to do. And I think the best thing for you to do is to explore as much as you want and as much as you can, because otherwise what happens is, if you stick to what other people tell you to do all the time, your parents, your friends, if you stick to like the same social group of the 3 people that you've known for the last 3 years, then you won't really know what you are interested in. Because if you just do things that other people are doing around you, you'll just assume that you would have the same passions, and when you're older you realize that it's not something you enjoy and you don't know what you really want to do. So one thing I would say is always try and explore as much as you want, and don't care about what other people think, because when you're doing something that you enjoy, what really matters is that you are the one who's enjoying it. And even if for a split second someone else is making a comment on you or is judging you, that's going to pass. It's all temporary, but the fun and the happiness you get from doing something you enjoy, that's what matters more. So don't give a shit about what other people think.
Yep. Okay. Could you tell me off the top of your head what things you might tell your child in the future to prepare or to keep in mind for these crucial years in their life?
So like I said, firstly, I'll tell them, do whatever you like. I mean, as much as I can help my kid out, with financially and where I'm located and whatever opportunities I can give them, if my son or daughter, whatever they want to do in life as a teenager, if they want to start some new extracurricular activity or they want to shift schools or something and I can provide that, I would say, go for it. Don't limit yourself. Dream big, and as much as I can help, I'll provide you with whatever I can, because I want you to be happy.
Definitely.
And yeah, and again, like I said, I don't want my kids to always be thinking of, oh, my friends are doing this, so can I also do that? And I don't want them to come under this garb of peer pressure, more like suggestions from whatever your friends are doing and you just want to do that all the time. So I would say be original, do what you like. And I would say every kid who's watching this, start reading, because you don't realize it, but reading books is always going to help you out later. So start reading. And if you're reading Lisa's book, that's a good thing. Huh?
Readers live 1,000 lives.
Yeah.
Mad. Okay. What is mental health to you or for you in your simplest words?
Mental health to me is okay, being mentally healthy to me is not always worrying about wo- the moment you're in and what you're going to do next, and not being very anxious. And again, I don't think I have a mental health issue to tackle, so I can't really say what it's like to have like I don't know, depression or something, because I haven't faced it. But I would say generally being mentally healthy is being in control of your emotions and having solid relationships with the people around you, and being able to think at a balance of logic and emotion. And it's not just you're always doing spontaneous things from your heart that you may later regret. And for me, being mentally healthy is just like a culmination of having good relationships and being socially not very awkward. At the same time, you know what your next step is, and you're not worried about what you're doing later on. Like it's more about just being in control of your emotions in general.
Definitely. Okay, and follow-up question though, I think you kind of answered it. Why do you think it's important to maintain a good mental health?
So I think mental health is very important because you face it or not, it's going to impact everything else in your life.
Definitely.
Now, if you're not mentally healthy, you will not be able to focus on your academic or your work or whatever your main, goal in life is at that point in time. Well, if you're a teenager, most probably you're going to be in school. So if you're not mentally healthy, if you're not in control of how you're feeling, what you're thinking, if you've not got the, balance of exercise and mental rest and whatever social relationships, then you won't be able to achieve things at your maximum potential, first of all. Second of all, being mentally healthy is very important because, like I said, again, it's human tendency to want to have solid relationships with a few people around you. And if you're not mentally healthy, even if you don't want to, you may end up hurting yourself or people around you, and you won't be able to maintain certain relationships, which will end up affecting you at that time and later on in life. So being mentally healthy will affect everything around you.
Were you ever in a difficult time in your teenage years? If yes, what helped or is helping you motivate yourself to become happier?
So I won't see difficult stretch of time. Like it's not like I was facing mental health issues over a certain period of months. But generally, if I feel low or if I feel, anxious or agitated or like something's not sitting right with me, for me personally, the best way for me to improve my health mentally is by physical exercise. So I mean, obviously during COVID, a lot of that wasn't possible, but whenever possible, I try and play tennis. I've gone into golf over the last year. So just going to the golf range and hitting 50 balls. That doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but for me, it just calms me down and helps me get in control of my thoughts. It's like a release of whatever's going on in my head through physical exercise. So that's something that's always helped me. Yeah, and I'm hoping now spending time with my dog is going to help me a lot.
Yes, it will. 110%. Okay. If you recall, what did you think being a teenager was going to be like when you were younger?
When I think of typical teenage life, what like we see in movies and stuff, I thought it's always going to be, you're going to school and then you have parties and you're always hanging out at your friend's house and, you're going out all the time and you're not really focusing on anything else. But at the same time, you end up doing really well no matter what and stuff. But I realized that it's not as much about, always being out of the house and at parties and stuff like that. Personally, it's a little different from what I've seen, and that's partly due to the stuff we see as kids, read in books and movies. And even though we're like in an Indian setting, you tend to see a lot of Hollywood type stuff, and that is very different from what the Indian setting is. So what you see as a kid may not be exactly what you imagine, but at the same time, like I said, the school I'm in, it is very similar to what I would like my teenage years to have been, which is spending a lot of time with my friends, at the same time being able to achieve well in whatever I want to do.
Okay. How do you think your relationship with your siblings and parents can affect your mental health or affect
I
you?
think I think I think relationships with family is probably the biggest impactor on mental health, because while friends and stuff, at school, at work, those people are a part of your life. They're not bloodbound, and they are technically temporary relations. Because if one day you decide to change school, I won't be seeing you ever again, right?
Yeah.
And you are a temporary person for that moment in time. But your family is the one who's always going to stick with you. You're going to come back home to those set of people. So maintaining strong relationships with your siblings and your parents, I think, is very important to being very mentally healthy. And the more you communicate with your loved ones, the better your mental health will be, because the more you get off your back and you can discuss things with them when you're sad or anything, it'll ease your life.
Okay. What does the word love mean to you as of today?
Love is a very complicated word, but
Exactly what
love to
so many people.
yeah, to me, love is just showing that not even showing, love is just you care about someone so much that if you see them happy, you feel happy, or if you see them sad, you feel like, what can I do to make them feel better? And again, love has varying levels. I don't think all loves are the same, because you might love someone romantically, and you can love your family member in a very different way, and you can love your best friend in a very different way.
Yep.
But at the core of all of these relationships, love is just about you showing that you want to spend time with someone and you enjoy their company so much that their happiness is your happiness and their sadness is your sadness, and you help each other out in difficult situations, and you're there for each other when you're happy.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, have you ever been through a rare one-off event, a kind of traumatic experience in your life?
Mental, no, not really, no.
Touch wood.
I mean, touch wood. Not relating to mental health and stuff. No.
Okay. Whose advice would you take most seriously and why? Which person?
Like a person I know, or like
a person you know?
For me, I would say it's probably my mom or my nani, because my nani is, she has a lot of years under her wing, and she's just a generally wise, but at the same time she's up to date with how today's society is, and she's someone I can always openly talk to and tell my problems to, and she won't judge me or anything, and she'll always give me a good solution, or if nothing else, she'll be there with me.
Yep.
My grandmother's always there, and my mother is someone who I think I can always go to if I'm ever in trouble. Like, I think to myself, if I ever get a girl pregnant, who is the first person I'm going to tell? And I think, it's going to be my mom, because she'll be the one who will tell me how to handle it. And I think it's my mom who's going to be the top of that list.
Definitely. Love the example. Okay. What are your aspirations for the future?
My aspirations for the future. Well, for one, I mean, I'd like to be successful, obviously, work-wise. But apart from, everyone wants to be successful, right? Like, everyone wants to do well in whatever they want to do. But apart from that, I think my aspirations are to just, while being successful, I don't want to be in a situation where my work is taking away, 75% of my day, because that's not something I would like to do. While your work is important, I think it's more so that, you get successful, you get the money, whatever, and then you spend that money and whatever you have, you spend time with your loved ones, and you spend time doing the things you enjoy, rather than just collecting money, and then you're 60 years old and you have no working joints and you have $4 billion in your account. I don't think that's something I would like to have. Rather, I would like to aspire to be in a situation where I'm able to work, but at the same time spend time doing the things I love and going to new places, traveling a lot. I like traveling, visiting new countries and be able to do in the future.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, last question. What is something you'd like to tell a teenager like you who's going through a rough time in their life? You don't know what they're going through, but I mean, words of encouragement always help. So, what would you tell them?
If you're going through a rough time in your life, I would say don't keep it to yourself, first of all, because just having someone to talk to, anyone, whether it's your sibling, your mom, your teacher, your therapist, whoever it is, once you bring it out into the open, you'll be able to perceive your problem better once you've verbalized it. If you jotted it down or something, you'll know exactly what your issue is. And always someone else being there with you is going to take half of your worries away, because you sort of share the issue that you have, and while you might think, people are going to judge me for the issues I have, whatever you're facing, you're not the first one to have ever faced it. And realistically, if you're going through a tough time, if you go to someone who's older to you, they've probably seen something similar in their lifetime. So it's always good to have someone to talk to, because they can help you out, and if nothing else, they'll be listening to you. So don't keep it to yourself and just talk to someone, if nothing else.
That's good advice. Okay, I think we're done here. Hang on.